Welcome back, everybody, to the Little Less Fear podcast. Today, I would like to introduce Judy Kane. Judy Kane, founder of Aligned Consciousness, helps people identify and transform the subconscious beliefs that keep them repeating ineffective, stressful patterns. Her clients experience changes that allow them to achieve their goals with ease and comfort. She is the author of Your Four Truths: How Beliefs Impact Your Life. Judy also hosts workshops and presents in group sessions, conferences, and podcasts. Originally from Richmond, Virginia, she lives near Tampa Bay, Florida, usually with a rescued cat or dog or two. I have two as well, or as part of our household. Welcome to a Little Less Fear podcast, Judy.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, thank you so much. This is incredible, and your topic is incredible. I'm all in. I dive deep into the subconscious, and I'm really interested, before we get into the topic, what journey brought you to where you are today in this incredible topic?
Well, it looked like an improbable path, but when you look backwards, it isn't that odd. I spent decades in IT management, computers and that type of thing. And I did not have much exposure to energy medicine, to alternative therapies or anything like that.
Especially being like in the tech world, huh?
Right. Yeah. I was process data, I didn't have much exposure. I'd heard of acupuncture, of course, and figured it worked, or people wouldn't have been doing it that long.
True. Yeah.
But I didn't have any personal interaction with a lot of things. But I was married to my husband at the time in 2009, and he had a lot of friends who did energy work, and he had some ache or pain. I don't even remember what it was. And I had seen them do things before that looked very mystical. But this time a friend said, "Can I help you with this?" And he said, "Sure." And I was watching, and it wasn't an intuitive process. It wasn't an interpretive process. It was just a process that anybody could learn how to do. And it took that ache or pain away in about 5 minutes.
Do you remember what type of energetic healing it was?
Yeah, it's what I use. Psych K.
Oh, wow. And that's what you use now. That's incredible. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like, I could do that, right? I mean, I wasn't going to sign up for something where I had to trust my interpretation of messages, or whether I could sense energy or something. But this does not require that. This is literally just a process that anybody can learn how to do.
Must have been pretty impactful for you, Judy, to have witnessed this, for you to say, I want to do this. I can do this. What was the miracle in what you saw? What did you see? And how fast did it take for him to heal from this?
It was like right then. In 5 minutes, the pain was gone.
What?
That's what got my attention.
You got my attention.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so so we were both very interested in this, and started letting people who knew how to do it practice at our house twice a month, right? So I could see all these applications that people were using it for. It wasn't just an ache or a pain. It was for, changing things about the way their life was turning out for them. It was just very powerful. So I signed up in early 2011 to the first workshop, and then I started taking them all because I was just fascinated with the power behind it, the possibilities with it. And I wasn't intending to have a business until 2014. It was just too good to keep to myself anymore. So I started the business then.
So you started the business in 2014 and left the IT world.
I left the IT world in 2009, and in between, I was a realtor.
Okay.
That was not where I found my most joy. What I do now is so much better than either the IT management or being a realtor. For me, everybody's got their own place, but I love what I do now.
So take us into your life of what you do now. How did you start? When you first started, how has it metamorphosized? How has it changed?
Well, it's changed me in getting to where I'm really interested in spreading the word to people, of letting them know when things aren't working the way they want, they don't have to just accept it. right? That if
Yes.
they've got patterns in their lives that are repeating, that are not the way they want
Right,
things to
right, right,
be, there's stuff that can be done for it. They're not stuck with that, right? I think
right.
that's a really important thing for people to know.
So you'd like them to know that if there's patterns they are repeating, they don't need to be stuck in that pattern.
Mhm.
And how do you go about that? How do you go about when you have clients and you start talking to them about patterns that are repeating and how they don't need to be stuck there?
Well, when they come to me on an individual basis,
Uh,
we start out with what's going on and what would you rather experience,
oh, I
right?
like that.
And frequently they don't have an answer to that question. They know what they don't want, but they don't always know what they do want. They've been making decisions based on fear or what they want to avoid versus what they really would like to be true.
That is so true. And you know what? That's so true with in almost any circumstance. It seems like people always know what they don't want, but they don't know what they do want.
Yeah.
And so in doing and trying to figure out and navigate what somebody does want, and if somebody doesn't know what they want, how do you get them to identify what they do want?
Well, I mean, it's up to them, but because of my background in IT, I'm used to asking people, well, what's your system doing now? And what do you want your system to do?
Yeah,
Right?
you compare it to like it being their computer system, which in a way is.
It
It's
is
got their own
absolutely.
program software that has a digital loop type thing.
Yep. So that's how, we start. And it's like, well, do you have emotions around this situation? Or, let's get some specific beliefs you want to be true about this situation. And so we just take it a little bit at a time. But it's a fast change process. You can usually change any one belief in less than 5 minutes. So it's just, we just go through beliefs until we seem to have cleared up whatever the situation is.
And how would you clear a belief? Let's hypothetically say that I came to you and I'm like, and I say, hey, Judy, I'm this little dude. I've had disabilities in my life and I really want to get big and buff. And I just don't see that ever happening for me. It's never going to happen. I'm going to be tiny forever. And how would you work through something like that?
Well, so we would ask, what is it that, what do you want? What's a reality that you want to do? What are you going to feel like? What is this thing that you want to be? And we get it to the point where you've got an affirmation style belief statement that you want to be true. Like, I am strong and healthy, or my body is able to respond to exercise. You start breaking it into really specific statements. And we use muscle testing to communicate with the subconscious.
Could you explain muscle testing?
I will. So it's what some chiropractors use to figure out how to manipulate the body. It's what some nutritionists use to figure out what nutrients and supplements the body might use. In Psych K, we use it to figure out what the beliefs are in the subconscious. And if you were in the room with me, and if I asked you to hold your arm out to the side, your brain would send a signal to your arm and your arm would go out, right?
Right.
And then if I asked you to think of something you believe, if something, you liked, and if I press lightly on your wrist, your arm would still stay up. It's because you've still got that signal going on.
True.
But if I asked you to think of something you disliked and press lightly on your arm, there's a blip in the signal.
Oh, wow. So there's strength in what you like and what brings you inner joy versus what you don't like, and that makes you weaker.
Yeah. So there's a blip, right? And it'll be a blip if it's something that stresses your subconscious out, or if it's something your subconscious does not believe. So if you said, a lot of people do not believe it's okay to have more money than they need in their subconscious, right? So if somebody says that, almost always there's a weaker response to it. It's
Right.
okay to have more money than I need. Nope, subconscious doesn't believe that one. So it's a little bit weaker. Or if it's a no to a yes, no question. So being able to either find out through emotions or statements or yes, no statements, you can kind of zero in on what the subconscious does believe. And then, it's really almost like installing code. It's, the Psych K process is just, it's rewriting that belief to the statement that you chose.
I think I saw something like this on YouTube not so long ago, but they were doing it with a finger. You can do it the same way, right? Like testing the strength of your finger or something like that.
Yeah, there are
And
a lot of
yeah,
ways. Some people use
right,
pendulums. You can stand up and lean, and you can, like, your body might lean forward
right.
if it's a yes, and back if it's a no. And then there are lots of finger ways of doing it. But and you can use the arm. So
Mhm.
yeah, but there are a lot of ways of asking that question and getting an answer
Sure, sure.
from your subconscious. But that's how we do it. If it doesn't believe something you want to be true, then that means we can do that with Psych K and put that new belief in there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Judy, how would you explain what the subconscious is to somebody that has absolutely no idea what they're getting themselves into? And what is this word subconscious? I mean, how would you explain that to them in simple terms?
It's your default operating system, basically.
I
Until you,
love that. I love how your connection with the IT world in this. Yes, it is.
yeah. So until you're 7 years old, you really are
Right.
just accumulating beliefs, right? You come in with a few that you've gotten either in utero or generationally or other ways, but for the most part, you're kind of like a blank slate, a little sponge, and you're just walking around collecting these beliefs from the people that you live with and the institutions you're
Yeah, you're
interfacing with.
just soaking it up so easily.
Yeah. And some of those are good. It's good to know that fire is hot and moving cars can hurt you, and
Right,
I mean,
right.
there are a lot of things that are very
Yeah.
helpful, that you need to survive and thrive wherever you landed. But a lot of the other ones are not. You could acquire fear of things that aren't really dangerous,
Mhm.
or you could get low opinions of yourself because of the way you are treated within your family. You could get messages that you don't have much value, or you don't have anything worthwhile to say, or that it's not safe to be seen or heard. There's all sorts of messages people get for different reasons.
Mhm.
But that all of those subconscious beliefs are putting together your perception of the world. Those are the filters through which you see everything that's going on.
Mhm.
And it's like, so if it's your perception, it's your reality, right? Those
Right.
subconscious beliefs control about 95% of your behavior.
Ooh, that's a lot.
It is. And they're mostly there by the time you're 7. You can get other things, added in over time, but the majority of it's there by the time you're 7.
Seems like it would be pretty challenging to reprogram some of these limited beliefs or false beliefs or the default operating system to change its mind if it has something deeply ingrained. I feel like it would take a lot of refocusing and a lot of attention to that area, would it not?
No, it's a pretty straightforward process. What you find, the differences are more in complexity. Like when I work with phobia clients, I've never had a phobia client take a full hour. Those are pretty
Oh,
simple because they might be intense.
right.
They've
True.
got very small a small number of beliefs that are causing that reaction.
Right.
So, usually it's 20-25 minutes for the phobia to be gone. And then it's like, so what else do you want to do? We've got the rest of the hour. So let's change more things, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. It's incredible.
But on the other hand, some things are very complicated, right? People with, I've unfortunately had a lot of clients with childhood PTSD,
Hmm.
and those create complex sets of beliefs. So it's, people don't come in and change all of that with one belief change,
Right, right, right.
So it just varies. People will call me on cause I offer free 15-minute calls to people because they don't know what the process is and they don't know how it might help them.
Mhm.
And they'll say, well, this is what I want to change. How many sessions would I need? And it's like, I have no idea. We might be able to do it in one, it might take more, but it's not designed to be a long-term relationship for the same issue.
What about like right now you brought up PTSD and I thought of like war, army veterans and stuff. I mean, have you had any type of clients that were in war or
Yeah.
Do you find that that's pretty challenging?
The nice thing about this process is that people don't have to go back and relive what caused the trauma.
I'm sorry, come again. They don't have to?
They do not. So they
Oh,
don't have to
good.
re-traumatize themselves in the process of trying to change it. We work with what's there now. And so it's a really gentle way of working with trauma, because they don't need to know if they don't. And if they do know, they don't need to put words to it. So I don't need to know. So, I mean,
Sure.
it's like we just work with the things, I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be safe. Things that aren't true for people who've suffered a lot of different types of traumatic situations.
I totally agree with that. I have my doctorate in clinical psychology, and one of the reasons why I'm not practicing psychology is because some of the things I don't really fully agree with, such as let's rehash what you've gone through. I'm like, well, I don't want to put them through that. I don't want to put myself through that either. It feels like doing that, you're just kind of recreating the same neural pathway, and it's going to be igniting over and over and over, and it's going to be recreating trauma. I really, I love what you're doing. I think that's incredible. You're recreating new neural pathways in a positive light with it's such an incredible impact, and at the same time erasing that old freeway that they had that was causing the trauma.
Yeah. Now, that's not to say it wouldn't be helpful for them to work with a clinician or for other people with coaches. I don't do behavior or strategy or
Mhm.
any of those things. I focus on the subconscious beliefs. So a lot of times a therapist would be very helpful to help people recognize how to develop other behaviors in response to things.
That's true.
I mean,
Like
I'm
behavior
not,
modification, cog things like that. That would be
yeah,
very helpful,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah, because I'm not licensed to do that. I don't know how to do that. That you would not come to me for those
Right.
types of resources.
I noticed is it the title of your business called Aligned Consciousness?
Uh-huh.
How could you explain to somebody who doesn't know the word consciousness in simple terms, what is consciousness?
Okay. So when with your conscious mind, those are the things that you are deciding to do. Those are the
Mm,
things you're focusing on. Um, and that's about 5%, at any given time, if you're really paying attention to what you're doing, your conscious mind is at work there. It's your creative mind.
right.
It's all of those intentional behaviors that people do, and the rest of it is your default system. So I imagine most people who know how to drive a car have had the experience of driving home, and the whole time, unless it was bad weather or bad traffic, they're probably thinking about what they're going to do when they get home, or something that happened back wherever they came from, and they're not really totally focused on what's going on the road. Well, it's your subconscious that's looking at all these things and making all the decisions. It's driving the car, unless you need to suddenly use that conscious mind to pay attention to something.
Wow. So while you're driving and you're thinking about all these other things, it's your default operating system that's controlling the vehicle.
Uh, yeah.
That's an incredible realization right there.
But so think about it. When you take a class and you come out of it and you learn all these cool things, and you want to be doing it, and when you pay attention to it, you do it the new way. But as soon as you stop focusing on it, you slide back into the old way of doing things, because you're not thinking about it.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's your subconscious.
I love the title Aligned Consciousness. When I first saw it before meeting you, what I thought was what I think of when I think of aligned consciousness is I feel more aligned with intention, more aligned with um, my true self, my true nature, and more aware. And that's really what I feel from that. And I think that's really incredible, because I feel like you're bringing your inner being into awareness rather than having, as you said, your default operating system run the show.
Well, you want your subconscious beliefs to support your conscious goals. That's the point, right? You want to be
Right.
able to choose what you want and not have these roadblocks thrown up by the subconscious beliefs that are just, they've got their own stories, right? From
Mhm.
wherever they came from.
Right.
So if somebody has a business, and well, I had a client like this. So she's a great coach, couldn't get the business to get past a certain threshold. And we discovered that she had a subconscious belief that in order for a business to be really successful, you had to work 24/7, basically.
Oh,
And she had her business, but she also had a family. She did a good job with self-care. She had additional priorities. The subconscious was protecting those priorities for her by not letting the business get too big.
wow. And how did you get down to that? By asking specific questions, or just continue to ask, peeling back the onion, peeling back the layers, and just
It's
trying
the
to
muscle
figure
testing. Yeah.
the
It's like,
muscle testing?
yeah. And so that people don't think I have to be in the room, I do the muscle testing for people. Everybody I see is remote. It's virtual. So I do the muscle testing for them because I can't reach your arm.
Right.
So, yeah.
So how
But
do
yeah,
you do it remotely?
it's a process that's part of Psych K, just like some other modalities can do remote types of work. I do the muscle testing for the person. They do the rest of it as if they were in the room with me, the change part.
Mhm. How could you tell us one of your the best success stories that you have, just something that actually blew you away, where you thought, you know what, I'm not sure where this is going to go, and then it just kind of caught you off guard, and it was just an awesome, incredible journey and incredible story?
I hear them every week. The ones that are kind of, well, okay. So some of the most dramatic ones have to do with the connection between mind and body, like physical symptoms of stress that people have. Sometimes there is an immediate change in that symptom when you
Mhm.
change some beliefs. And they don't surprise me because I've seen them a lot, but they still are just put me in awe, right? I had a
Right.
client that had sciatica
Yeah.
and had it, I don't know, years. It was, not a new thing that had popped up for him. And he didn't come to me for that. He came to something else, but we finished up with that early. So it's my question's always, well, what else do you want to change? Right.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I got this pain that's going down my leg. I said, okay, let's see if we can do something for that. And it was really only one, I think it was only one belief that we changed. Um, and he didn't have the pain anymore, like right then, which was just really incredible. And he came back, he was in a package, so he came back the next time, and I said, so what happened? How's the leg? And he said, everybody's asking me why I'm not limping anymore. And he says, I'm embarrassed to tell them because none of my friends are going to believe what you do.
That's incredible. What?
I know. And it's like, well, that's okay. I'm glad it worked, right? I mean, so that, or, there are always like these, it's amazing how fast when you change beliefs, things can change for you, because
Yes.
it's just, people think it's just an anomaly when, oh, it's just, that's just, it just happened out that, this is the way things
Right.
play it out. But, I have seen it happen too many times when somebody changes their belief about their business or about themselves or about a relationship. And sometimes within a week, they see a complete turnaround in the thing that they were trying to change.
That's incredible, Judy. And that must feel incredible for you too, to be a part
I
of
love
that.
it. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, it's great.
Man, I see you light up even telling me about it.
Yeah.
So what about give us a situation that was super challenging.
All right, I'll do one of my own.
Okay.
Because that's easier. So I was not comfortable being watched by audiences ever. When I was, growing up, I played the piano. I could be an accompanist off to the side, but if I had to do a recital, my leg would shake visibly. I would be like a wreck, right? It
Mhm.
just did not want people watching just me doing something. When I started this business, I knew I had to get out there and do networking. And so I got out there and started doing my 30-second introduction to myself. And I got so that I was pretty comfortable with that. And there was this woman who has a web TV show, and she said she was really interested in what I did and would I be willing to get on camera with her for her show. And of course, my brain knew I had to say yes, because that was the whole point of having a business, right? Of getting your message out. And the rest of my body was going, no. So I went home and I worked on all the things I could with this anxiety. And when I was driving over there, I could tell there was some little piece of it that was still hanging on, that, so before I went in, I worked with that one. And I was really glad I did, because when I went in there were 5 or 6 cameras focused on these 2 chairs. It was an hour-long show. I would have been a wreck. I would have been miserable. The host would have been miserable. The audience, if they decided to air it, I think some of it was live. I mean, everybody would have been like just really uncomfortable watching this play out, right? It would have been the disaster. But it was fine. I enjoyed it. It was a comfortable experience. And when I went back and watched it, it really was okay. It was like, wow, that was really cool. If I hadn't been able to do that, it would have just been a totally different experience.
But what changed exactly? What did you tell yourself, or how did you?
Well, sometimes, I'm sure there were this was a long time ago. This is when the business first started. But I know the first things I did were work with the reactions, the emotions that were involved with the thing, and neutralize those.
Okay.
Which is, sometimes you do statements that you do want to be true, and other times you neutralize the emotions you don't want. So when I work with phobia people, we start with that phobic response.
And I'm sorry, you said neutralize it?
Change it over to peace and non-attachment, basically.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's just like, whatever that anxiety, stress, fear, anger, terror, whatever it is, you transform that to peace and non-attachment. If you
Peace
can,
and non-attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you do that? Could you give it an example on how you did that?
Well, I mean, that's the Psyche process. So the actual change part is getting into comfortable positions. There are different ways of changing beliefs, but comfortable positions that are trying to get you in a state where it's easy to access the subconscious. So it's the actual change process itself is usually less than 5 minutes. It's pretty straightforward. The art of it is finding the root cause beliefs to change.
Right.
The change part is really pretty simple.
That would be challenging to really dig deep in there, especially if someone really has no awareness of where it's coming from in the first place.
So they've got symptoms. And so you back into what are probable root causes of the symptoms, not root causes like behaviors or events, but root cause beliefs of those symptoms.
And so tell us about your book. You have a book called Your 4 Truths, How Beliefs Impact Your Life.
Yeah.
How did this book come about? And do you talk about exactly what we're talking about right now on the show?
I do. Yeah. It's based on the number of, all the people I've seen. What I noticed was all the beliefs tended to fall into 4 categories.
Okay.
The ones that people wanted to change. And they're kind of tied to, a hierarchy of needs for humans, right? So you need to feel like you're safe, that you're worthy, that you're lovable, and that you're connected to something bigger than yourself.
Right. So the beliefs were safe, and what was the other one? Worthy?
Worthy, lovable.
Oh, lovable.
And connected to something larger than yourself.
That's really huge. I still come across people that don't believe in anything bigger than themselves. How do you work through that with people that have feelings such as there's nothing bigger or greater than us?
I wasn't coming at it as much from a spiritual connectedness or belief process. It's more of recognizing we're all here together, right?
Yeah.
And we impact each other.
Yes.
And there are connections between us. I mean, and we impact nature. And so, I mean, looking at it from that perspective more than any spiritual belief perspective.
I love
I,
that.
yeah, because everybody's got their own sets of beliefs, and they're, you know, this process doesn't endorse or negate any of those.
Yeah, and I'm also seeing that it doesn't force someone to go into meditation or pray or something that might make them uneasy. I feel like
No,
it's going to be too timely, or I don't know how to quiet my mind. You know, a lot of people put the brakes there.
yeah, they're fully awake and aware and participating in the process. They're the ones doing the change. I'm really basically a facilitator for the process.
That's incredible, Judy. No, something I just noticed right now about the beliefs in the four categories of safe, worthy, lovable, and connected to something bigger than ourselves also feels like it's in alignment with the chakra system. Like the root chakra is feeling safe, the worthiness and the lovable, that's your heart chakra, that's also your power center, your sacral chakra, and your gut, and connected, which would also be your third eye and your crown. It seems like you're touching all of that as well. That's really incredible.
You can draw parallels. The Psych-K
Yeah.
process itself doesn't, it's not aligned with chakras or neural pathway. You know, it's not connected to any set of physical or philosophical or spiritual
Mhm.
types of constructs. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, because wisdom tends to support, you know, different
Yeah,
sources of wisdom tend to support each other, right?
exactly. Like you said, parallels, and parallels, they definitely support each other right there. That's really incredible to see that. So how do you get clients? Do people find you online, or you have a website, or how has it been working for you?
Yeah, well, I do have a website, and I do a lot of networking, and I get a lot of referrals from people. They find me online. The Psych-K website has a set of facilitators that are preferred, and I'm on there. So sometimes people find me that way. But I get a lot of clients through coaches, because
Excellent.
coaches have clients that get stuck in their programs. And
Really?
a lot of times they think it's the client that just isn't working hard enough, or that they as a coach aren't saying the right thing to get the message across appropriately. But frequently it's a subconscious belief that's making it
Right.
really hard for that client to do that thing. So I'm in some coaches packages, and others refer to me as needed. And they'll send them to me for a session. They've already narrowed down a lot of what it is that seems to be blocking the next thing, right?
Right.
So frequently one session is all they need. But yeah, so I have a lot of clients come to me that way, because I don't do the thing the coaches do. I don't do the behavior or the strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm also thinking as you're saying this, do you get for some reason the law of attraction came to my head, and The Secret, the book that came out 20 years ago and stuff. I feel that you can also use this to help you manifest your reality and your dreams and basically bring them into fruition. Do you have people coming in saying, I need to change my limited beliefs so that I can manifest my dream life?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of, not everybody that comes to me is familiar with, you know, those types of concepts, but many are.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, because I am more of a process oriented person. You know, I get a lot of people from a lot of different beliefs, you know, not too many well, I don't attract clients that want me to prove that this works. That's not who I'm looking to work with. But,
Right.
you know, people who are open to the fact that, you know, there are subconscious beliefs that are keeping them. Everybody's had the experience of, you repeat the same thing over and over again and don't know why you keep doing the
Yeah.
same thing. Right? It's
Right.
like, well, why does this keep happening? Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Or even, oh my goodness, Judy, you probably get people in relationships. They say, I keep attracting the same person. What's going on? Oh my goodness.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And, you know, with them, the first thing I usually suggest is that we start taking a look at their relationship with themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Because, you know, if you can't have your boundaries, and if you don't respect your own priorities, and if you can't say what your strengths are and feel good about the way you do things, and that's going to make a big difference in the relationship you've got with somebody else.
Definitely, because you'll be attracting that type of what you're putting out there, basically.
Yeah.
So you also do a lot of inner work and people strengthening their inner being. I mean, that's what all this is, really, strengthening your inner self. That's really incredible. Self-love is what this is, reprogramming these negative loops.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Knowing that you're safe, knowing that you are absolutely worthy in and of yourself, not for anything that you do, lovable just because you're you, right? It's like people learn conditional love when they're little of, oh, I got to be these things or I won't be loved, or
Right.
I've got to do this perfectly or people won't be happy with me, or they learn these messages sometimes with one instance of but a lot of times it's a repeated environment that this is where they grew up, and it's just, that's what they believe because that's what they were taught, basically.
And they become repetitive thoughts, and your thoughts create your beliefs, and your beliefs create your perspectives and your realities.
Absolutely.
That's incredible. So what advice can you give people that are listening to this podcast and saying like, well, I'm in all kinds of negative loops. So what's one thing someone can tell themselves on their own when they're alone to help themselves from out of a negative loop?
So yeah, people always ask, well, what can I do? Because the process I use is not something you can, find online and mimic, do for yourself. You need to go to somebody who, you either need to go to a workshop and learn it yourself or go to somebody who has gone to a workshop and learned it themselves. But what I have seen over the years is there are changes people can make by doing the following. First, get clear on what it is you really want to be true, right? You identify the thing you want, and then start getting really detailed images, examples of how that's going to look in your life, right? Visual details. What are you hearing? What are you saying to yourself? And most importantly, what's the emotion that you're feeling once this is true? And if you can get really good details and really clear on these things, I have seen people change those subconscious beliefs that way.
So what would they do once they identify the emotion?
Well, I mean, it's just a matter of feeling it, right? So
it's a matter of even just recognizing it and bring it into your consciousness.
Bring it into your consciousness. If it's like, oh, I don't know, say that what's a good example? Whatever it is, if it's wanting to be comfortable speaking to a crowd. So you can picture yourself standing on stage, looking comfortable, and that's not good enough. So what does comfortable look like, right? Well, your face is relaxed, your hands are unclenched, your shoulders are back, you're walking at a slow, easy pace back and forth across and looking at the audience and speaking you can see that it's a well modulated kind of slow way that your mouth is talking. And what does the audience look like? Are they looking at their phones? Are they talking to their neighbor? No, they're all looking at you, right? So you get those visual details so that you've got a really clear example of how this is going to look. And just so you do 2 or 3 of them, different situations of where this is the way you want it to be. Then, so what are people saying to you? Wow, you're a fabulous speaker. What are you saying to yourself? I love doing this. Okay, so whatever it is that you want to be true, it's your stuff, right? You get to
make your dream and your vision as clear using your 5 senses, and then your subconscious will start to believe it. And then therefore it becomes your reality.
And get that emotion. What's the main emotion you're going to feel? Well, maybe it's pride, that you've conquered this fear and that you're up there doing it and it's working. Well, so where do you feel pride in your body? What does it feel like? So really dig into what that whole experience is providing.
And be curious. I'm seeing you ask yourself a lot of questions. Be curious. Like, what does that feel like? What is this like? Where do you experience? Like, ask all the questions.
And sometimes I've seen that work.
That's incredible. I love this.
If nothing else, it gives you more clarity on what you want, right?
Right. And no one else is real, unless they go see you, no one else is really going to be asking these questions for them or to them. They have to ask this for themselves, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're the only ones that have the answer. That's really
Exactly.
important. Nobody else has the answer for what you want.
Because their experience is unique to them.
Right.
I can imagine that your clients, what they learned in aligned consciousness, they can take those tools home with them and start healing them themselves and their all their other loops and subconscious false beliefs on their own once they actually have some connection with you.
They still won't know. The psyche process doesn't work just because you've gone through it, but they will learn maybe that visualization technique, which could help them, right?
Okay.
Or if they still are experiencing more variations on that theme, or something else comes up, which is, once people find me, it might be 8 months later and it's like, well, that's okay, but now I want to change this other thing,
Oh
right?
yeah, I can imagine they come back to you. That's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So I'll have that happen sometimes too. At least they know I'm going to be asking them what do they want. So they usually come in prepared with that.
Yeah.
Right. They got a better idea of what that's going to look like in their life. So, that from that standpoint, they can certainly go down that road by themselves. Yeah.
What an incredible work you're doing, Judy. This is really motivating. It's bringing you joy. It's bringing me joy just hearing you what you're doing. And I'm ready to work on my loops app when we're done with this. This is really fascinating. Thank you so much for all your time, your effort, and all the incredible dedication that you put into your work. This is really amazing that you left the IT world to do something even more substantial that's helping you and heal the world. That's really incredible. Judy, thank you so much. How can our viewers, our watchers, and our listeners find you if they need to get a hold of you and your services?
My website is Aligned Consciousness. I guess that'll be in the show notes, but it's
Sure will.
ALIGNED consciousness. So past tense for consciousness, .com. And I've got a page there for resources where there are free downloads. You can book a 15-minute phone call if you want to. If you've got questions, you could go to the bottom of any page and book that. Or if you know you've got things you want to change, you can book one of those sessions as well.
And Judy Kane is also on LinkedIn at Judy Kane, PSYCHK. She's on Facebook at Aligned Consciousness. And once again, her website is www.alignedconsciousness.com. The link to her book is also on her website. The book is called Your Four Truths: How Beliefs Impact Your Life. Judy Kane, thank you so much. It's been an honor connecting with you, wishing you and all your loved ones love, blessings, and wisdom light. Thank you so much for being on A Little Less for Your podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you, Judy.